Election interfering witch hunt.
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States. And world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump.
I saw it, you saw it, everybody saw it. For Tiny Fingers, it was a very bad night. But for Kamala Harris, well, she showed MAGA and Fox News and everybody else. That's how you grab a, well, you know.
Now, look, make no mistake about it. Trump had a bad night. He rose to the bait repeatedly when she baited him, something I'm sure his advisors had begged him not to do. In the first debate when Biden attacked him, he just kept his cool and kept going. In this debate, he rose to debating, and we heard so many of the old grievances that we'd long thought that Trump had learned were not winners politically.
But really, how bad was it for Donnie? Let's ask the former chairman of the Republican Party, Michael Steele.
I mean, watching that, he looks sedated a bit, but that was one.
Well, you say sedated, I say crushed.
Crushed.
You watched a man lose the air out of the very important parts of his manhood.
Trump hit a new low, and it was the perfect combination of her strategy versus his insanity. She rope-a-doped him like Ali, then led him into a trap where Diaper Donnie's lies made Americans gasp. And I haven't gasped in a long time. Kamala Harris, from the moment she walked across the stage to shake his hand, intimidated little Donnie, and he never recovered.
I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did, in fact, lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact.
And then Taylor Swift's strong and inspiring endorsement to 200+ million people on Instagram, followed by Trump's creepy friend Elon Musk offering to impregnate her. Well, you got an idea what kind of night it was. And you get an idea how these men treat women. Of course, tens of millions of women were watching, and they took note. Add that to the rest of MAGA misogyny, and you get an idea how big the night was for Harris. But despite all Trump's verbal diuretics, it was Harris's strategy to open the door and let him destroy himself. And as Obama said at the convention,
there's the childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes.
And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
Well, it's obvious. Tiny Fingers has a thing about size.
Just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so? That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation.
Now let that sink in. As Trump responded like a sixth grader, my crowds are bigger, you don't have crowds. Harris sat back and watched it all. And Trump spiraled down.
Because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years they've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, We were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. Now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Oh, you bet cat ladies were watching, along with tens of millions more, all who understand exactly what it means to allow states to enact draconian abortion laws, like in Texas, where more than one bill was raised for executing a woman who has an abortion. Kamala Harris spoke eloquently and powerfully, and with the sensitivity the subject demanded. And Trump? He sounded like Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino. Get off my lawn. Where Harris offered hope, Trump sounded like that old man in Dunkin' Donuts talking about hippies and colored people.
We're a failing nation.
People don't want to hear that. It was astonishing how poorly he performed. Well, maybe not astonishing.
And she wrote the most beautiful story you've ever seen. It was a love story.
Harris stood right next to a crazy old man and let him burn. And did you notice this? Harris continually looked right over at Donnie, but his little manhood retracted so far into his orange cavity, he couldn't even look back. She so destroyed him.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th. I was the vice president-elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there. And on that day, the President of the United States incited a violent mob to attack our nation's capital, to desecrate our nation's capital. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. And understand, the former president has been indicted and impeached for exactly that reason. But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side.
And of course, Trump's lies in the debate came fast and furiously, but noted.
Jake, what stood out was that this was a staggeringly dishonest debate performance from former President Trump. Just lie after lie on subject after subject. By my preliminary count, Jake, Trump made at least 33 false claims.
But Harris knew this was coming. She knew he would lie. She predicted it. And she did everything right. She was in total control, but not scripted, and informed without being condescending. She had it going on. She trapped him at every turn.
She is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad, and she can't get away with that.
Thank you. Your time is up.
I want to respond to that, though. I want to just respond briefly. Clearly, I am not Joe Biden, and I am certainly not Donald Trump.
But perhaps the most defining aspect to the debate was Tiny Finger's embrace of the Haitian cat-eating story. I mean, really, imagine this guy again in the White House.
A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame.
ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is the
people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
television. But the people on television saying their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
I think this is where she won, and the American people saw how mentally ill Trump is. But we also saw the real Kamala Harris, her experience, moxie, wit, and how to do a beatdown when it's time. And right after the debate, Harris said, yeah, I'll do another debate, but Trump is shell-shocked and afraid.
He talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter, He will talk about windmills cause cancer.
Look, the election isn't over, but anyone watching, with any doubt at all, saw two very different people on that stage. One candidate was strong, with a vision for our country. The other was Donald Trump.
When you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want. No, you can't, fat boy. Not anymore.
Damn right.
I'm ready. Let's go.
This isn't their Republican Party anymore.
Trust me.
Shut the fuck up, Dan.
Who's with me? Oh, yeah, the lie.
Indictable.
Out of sheer morbid curiosity, I'm allowing this freak show to continue.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
Tick-tock.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.